Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another podcast. The setup just gets upgraded every single time. Welcome back to the second in-person podcast. Suraj, Cian McDermott, Charlie Nidell, TheeSportsScoop hosts. Playoffs are coming. Obviously, NFL podcasts are getting into several topics. This is going to be a long one. Our last one wasn't even an hour. This one, I would say, will push 2. So this is going to be a big one. We got mailbag questions, and then we have several topics we made. It's going to be a great time if you guys are NFL fans. Make sure you guys stay tuned. And always follow us on social media at TheeSportsScoop, TikTok, Instagram, and our Twitter. And we're going to have podcasts a lot. We're going to December break. We may have another one coming out. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. You can always ask us any questions that will be answered in our mailbag. We have a couple that we will be answering that we were asked over on Instagram. So it's always very, very fun to have. And without further ado, we're going to be getting into it. Make sure you guys stay tuned. It's going to be a very fun time. Without further ado, let's get into the podcast.
Getting into the first topic today, we're going to be talking about the Seahawks and how this is surprisingly their first losing season since 2014. Is it time to rebuild, or are we acting a little bit too early? Fire Pete Carroll, maybe? What did you guys see in the Rams game, the 20-10 loss?
Yeah, it was an interesting, obviously, first season for Russell Wilson, having losing since he was a sophomore at NC State. So it's been, he's definitely come a long way. Obviously, I think it comes back to what we were talking about when we planned this podcast. But I think a big reason why the Seahawks team, I think it started last year. I think it started when we talked about it. Russell Wilson having an MVP season up to mid-season around there. And then obviously Pete Carroll decides to start to run the ball. And I think a big reason why Pete Carroll stayed this year and will not be fired is I think, him and Bill Belichick have some of the most say in their organizations. If there are any coaches who are almost like, the owners of their team, these are the two coaches. They have so much say, whereas you look at other coaches, they don't. But in terms of, this is not a good team. This is a team that I don't think has included DK Metcalf enough. I think defensively we've seen, they were struggling a lot last year, probably the worst defense. They got better, and now they're not as good. And obviously injuries have ridden them. And I think with obviously the Russell Wilson rumors going into this offseason that he might be moved, and then now this season I would assume he will be moved. It's tough. This year it's tough. And then you look at the Rams game, and that was one where if you can win this game against a good divisional rival, maybe there's something. But now 5-9, I think playoffs are gone, and the Seahawks being 5-9 is just surprising. It's one of those things where you see the Seahawks play, you're like, oh yeah, this is a great team, but then the record is so opposing
mediocre,
of that.
Yeah.
So it's just fun to see. But I think I would say it's probably almost time to get a rebuild, because you let go of Russ and you still have the good receivers around them. But besides that, this team just definitely has lost an identity that they've had for so long.
Yep, I think I've got to agree. It's obviously not the same Seahawks team that we've seen for the past 5 years. They seem to be kind of almost like you said, lacking identity. I think really on offense, you can see that Russell Wilson has been having, I think by his standards, maybe been having a bit of a down year. Really hasn't been able to get involved enough really with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who's a big part of that offense. Obviously, I think one of the main reasons why Seattle really struggled this year is...
And Lockett has 1,000 yards,
exactly.
which it's weird because
he has big games where he's just...
Because last season you're looking at again, fantasy-wise, this guy was going 60 points in some weeks. So,
and then 2 in another. So I think with the Seahawks, I think the main reason, though, why is we're seeing that they're kind of becoming the basement dweller of the division, which sounds so weird.
Yeah,
it's been so good for as long as Seattle's been, is their neglect of the offensive line. And it's been just a consistent theme. And I think they're thinking, Russell Wilson's mobile. He'll get out of it. It'll be fine. But a good offensive line is so important in the NFL. You cannot contend without at least a capable offensive line. Seattle for the last since they traded, I think, Max Unger, to New Orleans, they really have never been the same offensive line. They have struggled to protect Russell Wilson. They haven't really been able to run the ball particularly well. And when you're going against three three very good teams other in your division, with the 49ers, with the Cardinals, and with the Rams, you have to have at least a competent offensive line. And again, for a while, Seattle really haven't. So I think that is really a big reason why right now they're in the position where they're thinking, is it time to blow it all up, trade Russell Wilson, start off fresh, and maybe...
And then it comes down to you wasted those 2 first-rounders, second-rounders on Jamal Adams, who is now out for the year. which it's a bad situation to say the least. The Seahawks are not. Yeah, they're not in a good situation. It's tough for Seahawks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they really threw away. It's tough because they threw away their future for a player that they thought would help them win now, and just a bunch of mistakes and I mean, I don't know if it's them not playing well or injuries that just sort of lost them their future and their win now. So they're gonna have to get some first round picks because there's no way they can start this rebuild now without a first round pick this year. Rebuilds start with teams that get a lot of draft picks, and I mean, the Bears have 2 picks this year. Bears don't have any picks. Sorry, the Giants have 2 picks this year. The Jets have 2 picks this year. The Eagles have 3 picks this year. The Dolphins had 3 last year. So it's just rebuilds start with draft picks, and the Seahawks are not in a good spot to do that. And again, the team they played last night, the Rams, are also not in a spot to do that, but they don't need one. So like the Rams traded away their future, but they've got that win now team. They're 10-4. Their record's showing it. Seahawks looked weak. I mean, I think the only thing that they did better than the Rams last night was their sack total. They had 4 sacks to the Rams, 3, I believe. So, I mean, it was just a dreadful performance
looking at
from
the
Seattle
stats,
all around.
the opponents against the Seahawks have more first downs by rushing, passing penalties, more third down conversions, more fourth down conversion, more total offensive yards, more offensive plays or average. I mean, they're getting beaten and everything.
The Seahawks haven't done anything better than their opponents
and what
all
we've
year.
talked about, we did the same thing where we honed in on a team. What was the first team we talked about last podcast? I'm forgetting, but we had the same comparison where it was kind of opposing. Where the
Vikings,
team I'm forgetting. Maybe? It might have been the Vikings. I'm not sure. It was the team we talked about. Essentially had. You look at the stats against the opponents, and the opponents had a little bit better, but they also had some that were better. But the Seahawks are just being beaten and everything. Again, I think we need to remember Geno Smith was the starting quarterback not so long ago.
Yes.
Russell Wilson was rushed back. I think that was a big reason why he didn't play very good in those first 2 games because of that finger injury. But yeah, I mean, that's the story of the NFL. Each year, one good team will fall, and it seems like the Seahawks may be that team this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just unfortunate that they had to go down like that.
And then they're spreading the ball to DK Metcalf. I just don't understand, why he's not getting the ball.
Yeah.
And as much as we've argued against, I think Terry McLaurin's better, blah, blah, blah. DK Metcalf is a game changer. Someone of his size and his age and obviously his ability needs to be getting the ball. And then running game-wise, we're going to get into more about running game. But, that's our next topic. But, running game-wise, Chris Carson goes out. DJ Dallas hasn't been great. He seems to have some kind of, issues
Rashad
off the field,
Penny
and
also.
Penny hasn't been great. And obviously, who's a rushing leader for Alex Collins? I think he's
Collins
400.
been all right.
He has 411 yards. And again, that goes into the problem that teams without running games generally are, it's a lot harder to be good. Besides the Chiefs, so I think.
But if we get into our final opinion on this, is it time to rebuild or fire Pete Carroll? What are your opinions
Final
on
decisions?
that? Final decision.
That's such a tough decision. I mean, I still haven't made my mind up yet. I don't think they should fire Pete Carroll because I think he's a great coach, but I think it isn't the worst decision because you could start to argue that maybe it is past his expiration date, that he's been a great coach for Seattle, but maybe it's like a situation with Tom Coughlin with the Giants where he had some great moments with them, but I don't know. You guys are
all right. So if you're the Seahawks owner, are you firing or keeping Pete
That's
Carroll?
the thing.
that's why it's such a difficult decision.
I don't think they will. I think he should be fired. I don't think.
So you think he should be fired? So if you were the head, you would be fired.
I don't think he will be fired.
I still think he's actually a solid coach, but he's definitely regressed.
Think about it.
Who else? You can't just fire someone for the sake of firing someone. You have to have a plan in place really to replace them. And Seattle are just gonna go in there, fire him, and without really having a person that you think, oh yeah, we got to replace him with.
I think they're starting to go down, and if they fire Pete Carroll, it'll only get worse. I think right now is not the time. He's proven to be a good coach in the NFL. He made it to the Super Bowl, maybe made a questionable decision, but made it to the Super Bowl, has done really well in his time in Seattle. I don't think it's time to fire him. I think you're more likely to want to rebuild right now than fire Pete Carroll.
I think my problem, though, maybe is
he doesn't have a good team right now.
They're kind of giving him too much. They're giving him too much leverage in kind of the decisions in terms of GM and the decisions, the executive decisions. And I think recently, I don't think he's really done well enough in executive decisions. Obviously, I don't know how much input he has, but as Cian said, him and Bill Belichick, they're the guys that probably have the most amount of influence based on franchise's overall decision making, and how good has Carroll been recently at that? I mean, he traded away again 2 first-rounders for Jamal Adams. I don't know if that was
and then paid him
exactly
$15 million per year. I don't even know
for someone who only knows how to blitz.
Yeah.
And they really have, again, like I said, I go back to the neglect of the offensive line, which has really been, I feel like, the main catalyst for why Seattle have gone so far downhill. But I think with the Seahawks at the moment, I think there's a strong argument really to actually decide to rebuild, because I think the Rams aren't going away, because no matter what, they still seem the
Cardinals are going to be there.
The Cardinals are definitely going to be there. I think the Niners are going to be there. They have one of the premier coaches in the NFL. I mean, maybe it's time, because I think Russell Wilson can't carry this team in this division. Maybe you keep him for one more year. Maybe groom his replacement. Maybe
draft Malik Willis.
Malik Willis. That'll be a later topic. But I think
the thing to me is Pete Carroll is a very good head coach, because Russell Wilson has been his quarterback for a very long time. You lose Russell Wilson, which I think that
but that was one of the arguments on Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
We all thought, Bill Belichick will be nothing without Brady, or conversely, Brady will be nothing without Belichick. I think most people lean towards Belichick would be nothing without Brady. Everybody still respect him.
Yeah,
but now the Patriots are back to being the best
ever.
Belichick is different than Pete Carroll.
But people still didn't think he'd be as good, and yet he's taking this Patriots team with rookie quarterback Mac Jones, who nobody thought really highly of coming out of college, and he's taking them, and they're top in the AFC. So...
But
it's a good point, but the thing is, it's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll in no way compares really to Bill Belichick.
But at the same time, Russell Wilson in no way compares to Tom Brady. So it was a very different dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarterback's better and the coach is better for the Patriots. Yes. That's why I think they were a dynasty, and that's why I think we've seen the Seahawks consistently struggle in the playoffs, even when this team has been good. So it even comes down to, even if the Seahawks were making playoffs this year, like, a Super Bowl needs to come at some point. I think it's the same for the Packers. It's been the same for those teams that are fringe, that are top teams, but, they're the teams that can finish seasons and finally win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, what worries me about Seattle, though, is that if they just trade Russell Wilson this offseason and they just go, like, okay, we're going full-style rebuild, it's not going to be pretty for the next few years.
Exactly.
And I feel like with a team like Seattle, maybe a couple of years ago even, they had the opportunity to kind of almost make this a more smooth transition, kind of. I mean, even I feel like it was a few years ago where Russell Wilson was also in like it was in contract talks where
when Marshawn Lynch left.
Exactly.
And
there were many opportunities really where Seattle kind of could have gotten through this a lot more smoothly, but I think now they're at the point where they've got to cut the cord, because they're not going to contend in this division unless they make some huge moves in the offseason and
trade away the first round picks that they don't have.
Exactly. And maybe like kind of nail late round picks. I mean,
I think it'll be disappointing for them the next few seasons, regardless of what they do this offseason.
I think it's gonna be a very long road, but I think maybe you keep Wilson one more year, again, groom his replacement, but I think it's gonna be very difficult, because they also have a lot of positions where they need to kind of address. Again, I said offensive line, they got to address probably a bit more cornerback, because they have Shaquille Griffin left in free agency. They don't really have a great option there. I think. Even safety, even with Jamal Adams there, I think they still.
Quandre Diggs, Sidney Jones at corner.
Adams gives $70 million. I forgot. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I think he's a free agent this year, also, right?
No, you get $70 million for 4 years.
Oh wait, I don't know. I thought I saw him in free agent.
No. I think he would have been, but then they gave him that contract this summer. Yeah, I mean,
regardless. So you say yes, firing Pete Carroll. I'm a no, don't fire him. Suraj, final verdict, yes or no?
I wouldn't fire him. At least, I think maybe you give him one more year. Let's see what happens.
My verdict is fire him, but it's if I'm the GM, fire Pete Carroll, trade Russell Wilson, probably trade Tyler Lockett, because I think he's probably only going to be going down from now on.
Yeah, probably only worth a second round pick at this
second
point.
Rounder. I mean, and then, but what will happen is Pete Carroll probably won't be fired. Russ, I think. Again, I think we saw this a lot with it. Looked inevitable that Aaron Rodgers would be traded, but quarterbacks of that status, like Wilson, like Rodgers, it is very, very hard to trade for guys like that. And Deshaun Watson,
because like they're always going to ask for like such a huge
and
price
the amount of money and the amount of capital that the team will want.
Even the Stafford trade was a bit hard for the Rams, because it's, I mean, obviously not as hard because the Lions and Stafford mutually agree that they had to part ways, but. Even then, you still have to give up.
Stafford, you look at that's a little bit step down. He was arguably a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers at some point in their career were the best quarterback in the NFL. Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers is right now, which is I think a big. Again, we're not going to get into that, but yeah, Seahawks. rebuild.
And
Or
the
sorry,
rebuild's
don't
inevitable.
rebuild. Wait, are you rebuild?
We're all rebuild.
No, I think it's
All
they gotta
rebuild. It's just a
rebuild.
question of
No.
whether or not Pete Carroll. Because I think if
Pete Carroll,
I think if they rebuild, the Seattle fans will be very upset with the team in the next 3 years. But if they don't rebuild, it'll be 10 years.
Yeah.
That they're gonna be awful.
Also, I gotta
high
look.
hopes and then low. And
Pete
then
Carroll.
low.
How much? Even if they do keep him around, how much longer really is he even gonna be there for? Because he's 70 years old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It won't be long.
You can't
It won't be long.
rebuild if you're the Seahawks without getting rid of Pete Carroll. That's
I don't think
where
that's
I'm
true. I
at.
think it's the best thing that you can use to rebuild.
Kind of guide them through there, and then
He'll guide them
maybe
through the rebuild, and if they're not really getting anywhere the first season or two, then it's time to
then
pull the
it's
plug.
Yeah, and I think he
Okay.
probably will want to go by his own
On his own terms.
volition.
Yeah.
Because again, he is one of the older head coaches in the league.
All right, but let's get on to our next topic. Let's talk about like 3 things here. I want to talk about the Bills. Can the Bills make a deep playoff run without a solid run game? Let me tell you.
Yeah.
The main topic is how important is a good running game in the NFL today? Is a good run blocking offensive line necessary to make a deep playoff run? So 3 things. Can the Bills make a deep playoff run? Is it better to have a franchise running back or a running back by committee like the Niners or the Patriots or the Colts? And then the Colts' massive success with that franchise running back in Jonathan Taylor. So
yeah, I
what
want
do you
to.
think?
I want to touch on the Bills. I want to touch on why this team has been struggling recently, and I think it comes down to running back and Suraj. Another thing we were talking about so much, and we did that draft live stream was. Look, they got unlucky. Etienne and Najee Harris were taken before they could go and draft. They ended up taking Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. Again, he's been pretty good. But to me, it's always been, even going to last offseason, it's Devin Singletary and Zach Moss are unfortunately not running backs that are serviceable to give the ball to 30, 40 times a game.
Well, I don't think there are many running backs that
Yeah,
can do
well,
that. There's a
if-
select
no,
few.
it's Taylor. You got.
But think about it. If,
running
think about
and
it,
receiving.
20 times a day.
Think about it. If they had
probably-
Najee Harris, he would be a running back you could give the ball to that many times.
Yes.
20.
Exactly.
25. I think that's what they kind of
Etienne
need,
again,
really.
he got injured, but I think it's one of those things where if you're the not Steelers, excuse me,
Bills.
Get messed up, the Bills. Yeah, it's been their Achilles heel. The running game has been their Achilles heel.
Josh
That's why-
Allen's their best running back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And Josh Allen's not Lamar Jackson. We don't think of him as a running back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He also, is it really good to have a tall running back quarterback like Josh Allen who really
You don't
kind
want to
of-
risk him.
Yeah, you won't want him running the ball. They can go down low for him because he's a tall
guy.
quarterback. He's fast.
And he
but
takes a lot of
he's
risks too when he's running. He's not smart running the ball, so
And
that's why
he's
you need a running
Jones.
back.
And he's not as agile. No, he's obviously agile. He's fast, but he's not gonna Lamar Jackson freaking juke someone out of their shoes and kind of
it's so weird
because
because the league originally league starting running the game. That's a bit. You ask any NFL veteran, you need to have a good run game. You need to have a good run game. Then it's trying to all right. You need to have a good passing game.
Yeah.
That kind of seems to be dominating. But now it seems like it needs to be a balance.
I think it's kind of the running game has kind of almost made a comeback in the last
Exactly
years.
right.
I think
the term
rules-
franchise running back
Yeah.
is starting to come into the question.
I
I think if we could start to see
They gotta-
running backs trend
Exactly.
up. If I'm the
But I
Bills, Kenneth Walker, give me that every single day. Isaiah Spiller, guys like that, in the draft.
And
I'm not
I
sure
think
the Bills have a first round
The
pick.
thing is that they do have a first round pick, but I don't think they even need to use a first round pick on
Yeah,
that because I
on
think
Kenneth Walker, exactly.
I think a good running back isn't very
And,
hard to
and
find.
to be fair, the
They
O
don't
line
need
has
an
been
elite one, but
awful
they
for the
need-
Bills.
Yeah, I would rather draft the offensive line
Yeah,
if
I
I'm
would
in the
go
Bills
O-line
situation
first.
than the running
Sure,
back because you don't want
definitely.
to like the Giants. You don't want to draft a running back without a good offensive line because I don't really know what's going on with
I think
Saquon right now.
there's a lot of interior help that they need. I think there's a good thing though with the draft is I think there are options there. You've got Kenyon Green,
A ton of them.
Kennard,
Yeah, there's a lot.
Linderbaum.
Of options there.
Linderbaum
It seems
is
like
fun.
all of the there's a lot of depth, and I think what was not last year is there's a lot of depth in inside offensive linemen. Linderbaum's brother, who plays on Boston College, I know has been good. He's kind of a second, third round guy. There's a lot of depth in the interior of the offensive line. So again, being a good coach, again for being the Bills and for all NFL teams, is picking and choosing what drafts and where you're going to target. This draft has a depth in this position, we're going to go for that. Yeah. Or this draft doesn't have depth, so we're going to go get this guy early. And I think obviously they got lucky, but imagine they had Najee Harris, this team would be so much different.
Najee Harris,
Etienne again,
Williams.
Etienne again, assuming he didn't get that season-ending injury if he was with the Bills, but. Yeah, I mean it's and again franchise running back and then going to the Colts, using them as and the 49ers and the Patriots as and not only having that franchise guy. I think there's a difference. You can have a committee that's very like we saw from the Falcons when they made the Super Bowl with Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, now with the Colts, obviously Jonathan Taylor, we'll get into him earlier. I know we have a mailbag question about him, how good he's been and how he's been the best player on the Colts by 5,000 miles this year.
Well, Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson, yeah,
I guess.
obviously. But yeah. I'm saying, just that the running game, it's a big difference. I think, trending towards a league where running backs are starting to become much more important because it's less pressure on your quarterback, and you're seeing a league obviously more younger guys start to come in. So having a running back who can kind of be behind them, I think is really important. And what we've talked about with rookie quarterbacks is have a good offensive line. I would say for a rookie quarterback, the second most important thing, have a good running back where you can just give the ball to. You can just give it.
Or at least a running back by
exactly.
committee.
This is a perfect example. Zach Wilson doesn't have one. Michael Carter, we don't know.
Well, Michael Carter, he's been in and out of the lineup.
Yeah.
But I think in the games that he's played well, I think the Jets have really.
Trevor Lawrence lost Etienne. James Robinson, to be fair, obviously Meyer was not.
He hasn't been getting the ball.
James Robinson, so now that will probably change. Trey Lance, haven't seen him that much. Justin Fields. Montgomery's been in and out.
Yeah.
So I think again, there's always examples in the league.
But our main question for this segment was, can the Bills make a deep playoff run without that solid running game? And so my opinion, honestly, right now I don't know if they'll even make the playoffs. They're in a really tight race.
Are, actually.
The Bills are right now sitting 7th in the conference, tied with the Ravens. So we have, of course, the Bengals, Colts, Chargers, Bills, and Ravens are all 8-6. The Steelers are just half a game back at 7-6-1. Raiders, Dolphins, Browns, and Broncos are all 7-7, just a game behind. Granted, the Bills only need a win against the Patriots to jump to the top spot in the division, and then they play the Falcons and Jets.
Yeah, that's my reason why I don't think
they're close. I see the Bills going this season to end the season 2-1, which would put them at 10-7.
Yeah, I agree.
Now the Ravens were just a game back, also tied with the Bengals, who are top of the division, so they can just jump to 4th place. Play the Bengals, Rams, and Steelers. That's 3 kind of tough games.
They're not.
I honestly right now see the Ravens going 1-2, maybe 2-1 if they beat the Bengals. Now the Bengals have a tough schedule too. They have Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns. I could honestly see the Bengals going 0-3 to end the season. I think the Chiefs is a loss right now. The Chiefs are playing so well. The Ravens, you never know. The Browns, you never know. But I would put the Bengals at 2-1 or 1-2. But it's close. Then we also have the Chargers at 8-6, who end the season with Texans, Broncos, Raiders. Should be easy. I see the Chargers going 3-0. So the Chargers should have their playoff spot locked.
I mean,
they're right now. The Chargers are 6th in the AFC, and I see the Chargers going 3-0 to end the season.
Are the Broncos at home or away? Because I think
the
home
Broncos
game in Denver and away game in Denver are 2 totally different teams.
The Broncos are home.
Broncos are home.
So the Chargers are home for the game.
Oh, the Chargers.
The Chargers are at home. The Broncos is a home game.
Really, no home game for the Chargers, but I still think that they should be able.
Well, yeah. Let's get back onto the Bills.
But the Bills, it's gonna be tough, and I don't see them getting a high seed in the AFC. I see the Bills because the Patriots have. I think the Patriots have top spot in the division.
Yep.
I'm putting the Patriots top spot, which means I think the highest that the Bills will go, they won't pass the Chargers, they won't pass both the Bengals and the Ravens. So the only team they could pass is the Colts. And the Colts have looked really good. Another team we'll talk about in a second. Yeah. But the Colts have Cardinals, Raiders, Jaguars. The Cardinals are home for that game, but then they host the Raiders and are away at the Jaguars. I see the Colts going 2-1. Maybe even 3-0. So they won't leapfrog the Colts because I think the Bills are 2-1, we said.
Yes.
So they won't pass the Colts. They won't pass the Chargers. They won't pass both the Bengals. They won't stay ahead of both the Bengals and the Ravens. So that leaves the Bills at the 7 seed, which means first round of the playoffs, they're playing the second best team in the AFC, which right now looks like the Patriots.
I'd say so, yeah.
That would be an amazing game, and that would mean right now my money's on New England. So I don't think the Bills will make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think with Buffalo, I think they've got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball, but I think the issue that's going to plague them is that they're not going to be able to run the ball. Like, they're not going to be able to run zone reads. They're not going to be able to run like those power runs that they really kind of need to at some point in the playoffs, especially when it's like a cold game, a really loud atmosphere. Like, you're probably going to get in New England if you do have to go on the road to play them. So I think Buffalo, they just don't have that run game. Again, Singletary, Moss, Breida, none of them have been the guy. And I think it's okay to have a running back by committee, but Buffalo just flat out haven't been able to run the ball. And I think while these running backs aren't great, I think it isn't really an indictment on them. I think, again, it's an indictment on really the poor interior offensive line that the Buffalo Bills have had. And I think when you're going in the playoffs, you just can't have an offensive line that's just, I feel like, below average, especially at kind of just power running the football when you're going against teams that are, again, can take away the run, can force you to be one-dimensional. And in the playoffs, you just, unless you're like, maybe the Chiefs, a prime Chiefs, you can't really be a one-dimensional offense in the playoffs. And I think Buffalo, they've got a lot of talent. They can, I think I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they could pull off a full upset, a few upsets, but I think right now with the position they're in, I feel like it's kind of hard for me to imagine them having a deep playoff run.
Yeah. I think it's very funny because you could oppose this and be like, well, the Chiefs, when they won the Super Bowl, didn't have a good run game. And I think that's a very valid point. And I think the Chiefs were kind of in that weird situation where the running backs they did have kind of were played fantastic in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, I don't like using the word luck. There was some luck on their side for that game.
Which game?
Against 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and then we saw against the Bucs, who have a really, really good pass defense. All right, maybe we do need a run game. They go get Clyde Edwards, or they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Sorry, excuse me, but he wasn't obviously playing that well. So I think you can look at it both ways because you can look at it. All right, well the Chiefs didn't have a good run game. They won the Super Bowl, but I think again, like we were talking about, it's starting to trend where you need a balance. And the Bills to me, exactly like you said, you need someone to give the ball to. But I could tackle Devin Singletary. If you give me 10 tries, I bet you I could tackle Devin Singletary.
I'd put a lot of money that you couldn't.
I think that's a bit.
That was a very big stretch. I don't think there's a single football player in the league I could tackle.
He's 5'7".
He's still like a truck.
Still probably built. I think that's a
very big reach.
That's an optimistic one.
Because he's also been trained, and you have not. You don't play the sport.
I don't know. I would give myself 50-50 chance, but never mind.
I would put $1 million that you couldn't.
Ooh.
I'd put that much money. Nothing against you, but any NFL player at that level is just.
I think I can. I'm getting more and more confident. I have a chip on my shoulder.
All right, let's call him up. Let's
Devin, if you're watching.
If you're watching, seriously, that's a bold statement.
And I think, I mean, again, talking about running backs, I think a very important thing and a trend that will go on is you need a good running back. Unless you're the Giants and Saquon doesn't play that well. Or good running backs.
Yeah, you need one or the other. You need a good running game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
that's it. Yeah.
Very well.
So I like to give a straightforward, a quick answer, just so you know, because sometimes the things we say are confusing and contradict our own selves. So, Suraj, how far do you see the Bills going this year in the playoffs? Give me a round. Where are they getting eliminated?
I think first round, because I think what I had last in terms of my predictions, I had them playing New England. Again, going away New England, you don't have, and you can't win in the trenches against them, especially with that secondary. You're not going to be able to get the ball out in like under 2 seconds against J.C. Jackson, Devin McCourty.
It'll be hard.
Mills been good. I think it's just going to be too hard, and if they can't really win in the trenches like other teams like the Chiefs or the Colts can, then I think Buffalo are just primed for a first-round exit, especially when they're playing away from home.
Cian, what about you?
I would like to say second round, but I think the team that they will most likely play in the first round, again, I don't see them beating the Patriots. They lost to them at home. I don't think they will go to. Again, it's the divisional games to me. I've always said are very tough to predict.
Yeah,
I don't see
especially when you get playoff time.
Yeah, I don't see them.
I mean, Bucs
again,
Saints
Josh Allen
them twice.
I actually think about it. I actually think the Bills maybe to me would be more of a favorite to win that Patriots game. It's neck. Is this? It's not this week.
Close.
Is it this week?
This week.
This week. That's a divisional.
It's big.
And New England wins the division if they win that game.
You know what? I actually wasn't on a weekly prediction. I think the Bills will win.
So you think the Bills will take this week, which would push the Bills. That would actually put the Bills probably 3-0 to end the season.
Yeah.
So you think the Bills will lock up a number 2 seed, assuming that the Titans don't go 3-0.
Which I think is a fair assumption.
Yeah.
And assuming the Titans don't go 3-0, the Bengals don't go 3-0, the Colts don't go 3-0, and the Chargers don't go 3-0.
Yeah, so they probably won't lock up 2. I would say they'll.
Because those are all teams that they're behind, except for maybe the Bengals. I don't know if they're ahead of the Bengals or not because the Bengals have top spot in the division.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's possible. But
so you think so that means that they would take
the
on
Patriots
most
game
likely.
Is gonna be I think if they lose to the Patriots,
that means they would take on most likely Ravens or Bengals in the first round. Do you think they can win that game?
I think
I'd say Colts. They probably.
That means second. No, if they're number 2 seed, they'll
they're
take
the
on.
2 seed because I
if they're
think
the 2 seed,
I think the
they'll take
Bengals are
on.
gonna win their division, but I don't think there'll be another AFC North team in the wild card. I think it'll be Chargers should be a wild card. The either Patriots or Bills. I think it'll be Bills, but I think Bills would be a wild card or Patriots.
And then either Ravens or Bengals.
Colts.
Or Colts. Or
I
Titans.
think Colts have got to be because I think
Colts could win the division.
Colts could win the division.
I think the Colts
Titans,
will win the division.
I think they have to go.
I haven't seen
think
the
they
Titans
have to
schedule,
win.
though.
I think
have a
they.
look.
Let me see. What's
Colts
their
have
record?
Cardinals, Raiders, Jaguars, and Titans have
in the final 3 games they'd have to go
Niners,
2 games
Dolphins,
ahead.
Texans.
So I would have to say
Niners and Dolphins could be tough for this Titans team. Texans should be a pretty easy win. So I think you're right. Titans will probably win this division.
Yeah, I would say.
So I have the Titans going 2-1, which would probably push the Bills to the 3, making them play the Chargers or Colts, which I could see an exit right there.
Yeah.
But if not, then they take on
I think the Chargers and
whoever
Colts
wins. So you think at that pace, if the Bills take the top of this division, I could see the Bills going to the championship game. However, if everything pans out the way I think it will, now obviously that's the way I think it will, that's all these teams' records, I think the Bills will take the number 7 seed, meaning that they have to play the Patriots, which I think they will lose, and even if they win, the number 7 seed advancing to the next round is a guaranteed play against the number 1 seed, which will be the Chiefs, and that will be a definite exit unless something drastically changes until then. So I don't see them going further than the second round. I just don't. It's
yeah, I don't see them going further than the second round. I'll agree with that.
But I think a first round exit.
But that was a very, very long way to talk about the run game.
But do we want to move on to the other part of the run game, which is Niners, Patriots, Colts?
Yeah, I think
running by committee.
I mean, it's again, those are teams that have good running back committees and have a better chance. But let's move on to a topic that is a little bit football, not as we probably won't touch on it too much. It's talking about backup players. And how obviously the COVID has been impacting sports and school, everything. COVID is kind of making, it's making a little bit of a comeback, unfortunately.
Yep.
And I think if you are it's the question. Obviously, COVID has been ravaging several teams. So many players are out. The literal entire Browns team was out. We've seen obviously Cole Beasley just out with COVID, and I think the question again, we don't want to touch on it too much. Again, we are very, very much, we stick to NFL. We don't really veer off, and go on to kind of political topics like this.
Try not to.
Is it a kind of thing where the NFL should accept that COVID will be around and it's about going around it and kind of accepting players will be out and it's just be as safe as we can, vaccinate as many people as we can. And then again, how do we see backups and how do we see this league kind of, because you could go into playoff games where in any given playoff game, both backup quarterbacks could be playing, the backup defenses could be playing, and it could be a match like that. So I think, what do you, in terms of that, what do we think?
I mean, definitely, I think this is more about the backups instead of COVID. But obviously, the NFL has been ravaged by COVID. It's awful. And we have seen backups step up and play well, but we've also seen teams really struggle because their backups are playing, and there's a reason that they're backups. But, I mean, we have seen some good ones. The main name I want to point out is Tyler Huntley. He's playing arguably better than Lamar Jackson was playing before Lamar got injured. Now, this is a little bit different, but I think should the NFL accept it? I think they kind of need to. At this point, it's not really about the NFL accepting it. It's our country accepting it. It's the world accepting it. COVID's gonna be around. It's going to affect all sports. It's going to affect everything, and they're gonna have to just accept that players will get sick, and it's the same as just having the flu or something like that. You're gonna deal with it. They're out for a week. And then they're hopefully back after a week, and that's just how it's gonna have to be. Teams are gonna have to be built a little bit deeper, and it's gonna be rough. It'll definitely be rough. But I think as many players vaccinated, they should make it a mandate to have players vaccinated. I think what Aaron Rodgers did is not okay. Just one player, Antonio Brown as well.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be a mandate. We're seeing it happen all over the country. It's mandated, and the NFL should be no different. You have to be vaccinated to play in a league where you are face-to-face with other players. Like, you're tackling people. You're all over them. You're in hot and sweaty locker rooms. You're all over. You're on planes with your team. You're on buses, whatever you're on. It's going to spread really quickly with the amount of time these people spend together and how close they are. And I think you have to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's just, it's rough, and it's gonna discourage a lot of players from playing. That's gonna suck, but it's also about keeping the league together. And I'd rather a few players like Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown just say, "Screw it, I'm not playing football anymore because I don't want to get vaccinated," than seeing 100 players go down a season with COVID.
And it's not only that, the player goes home and he gives his family COVID, and then they
and it just spreads.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I just have been a bit quiet here. I think it's obviously a very, very difficult situation that we're having recently with COVID. And I think we've I think obviously it's been very, very controversial of an issue, whether or not COVID, the vaccine, who should be able to play, when should they be able to play, what are the mandates, when are the opportunity for vaccinated players to come back. And I think it's just going to be a very, very it's a difficult situation, but I think overall, Charlie, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's a very
vaccinate. Exactly. That's our political opinions. I don't care. Get vaccinated.
Yeah, I think that's all we're gonna say though about political.
It's coming from people who are vaccinated as well. So.
But yeah, let's talk about talking about people stepping up. Tyler Huntley
as backups. Now this is just in general, not just because of COVID. Yeah. In general, backups in the NFL, we have seen how important they can be. Tyler Huntley is our big name right now.
Yeah, and I think a big question with. We talked about, all right, if I'm the Lions and if I'm the Texans, I'm not going and drafting a quarterback. It's not a very particularly strong quarterback class, and they don't really have anything around them coaching-wise, player-wise. But Tyler Huntley, to me, if I'm the Texans, seems like a really, really good option. He was the first player to ever have 2 rushing and passing touchdowns in a game. Lamar Jackson didn't even have that. It was the stat like that. So Tyler Huntley's been great. I mean, obviously lost to the Packers by 1 point, but Huntley really looks like not Lamar Jackson, but looks like a mobile, modern quarterback. And I think he's a guy who can improve teams like the Texans and Lions, whether it be in the short. He looks to me like a younger Tyrod Taylor.
I think it's actually
that's a good comparison.
I think
looks like Tyrod Taylor.
Not only obviously people are gonna say, "Oh, he's agile like Lamar Jackson." He also throws a pretty good ball. I mean, obviously maybe it could be a bit of a wobbler some of the time, but I think
everybody throws some wobbly.
Exactly, but I think at the same time he was pretty accurate. He was able to read the field relatively well, and obviously I think he looks so good partly because again no one really has film on him yet because he's still played a very limited amount of snaps and games, but he's really impressed me so far. I think he's been very good. I think I don't know if he'll play again this season because we don't know whether or not Lamar will be back. And obviously, no matter what, if he is healthy, he's the future of the franchise. He's got to play.
No, we are not saying Tyler Huntley should start.
Oh, no. Of course not.
Just get that.
Of course not. No. But
I don't want to get too overhyped about Huntley because he really, when we look at it, only had 1 good game and they lost it. So he's played against the Browns, he played well. He's played 3 full games this season. That's Week 11 against the Bears, he was 26 for 36, good numbers, 219 yards, a little bit low, and a pick. That's not a great stat line. It's really not. But they won the game, 16-13. Low-scoring game.
I don't know. They won. All 3 games he started over 70% completion percentage.
But then the Browns he threw for pick. 1 touchdown and fumbled the ball twice.
Okay.
And then and they lost. Mm-hmm. And then the Packers, they did lose, but it was a close one. I'm not going to blame this loss on him. Yeah. But he threw really well. 28 for 40, 215 yards. Again, the yards numbers are a little bit low, but 2 touchdowns. Was only sacked once, so good for the offensive line against this Packers D-line, who have been okay this season. I won't say they're as good as they were last season, but 13 carries, 73 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He played very well against the Packers. But I don't want to get too excited because we've seen with backups... one does well, 1 week he does well, and then the next he just does not do well at all. So, we just don't know.
I mean, Charlie, do you think he's a guy who could start in the league?
I didn't realize he was as young as he is.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old. I think, yes, we'll have to see how the next few games pan out if he plays.
Yeah. I don't want to make this another P.J. Walker situation.
Oh, yeah.
I
was watching some NFL football, and P.J. Walker...
He looked pretty good.
But I think Tyler Huntley has looked better than P.J. Walker.
Yeah, obviously. But
PJ Walker played in the XFL. He looked good in the XFL, which is not a football league anymore. That shows you how good he played.
Tua, get ready, man.
But I think Huntley has looked really impressive. I don't think he'll play for the Ravens ever again because they have Lamar Jackson. But I could see a team like the Texans at least taking the risk on him.
Lions also.
The Lions as well, yeah.
Teams that maybe want to give him some kind of like competition, I'd say.
But, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's basically. I think that's what
Yeah.
I'd say. I say he has a chance. I think what will happen is that he will kind of go to a place where, not that he'll start, but he'll at least push for a starting job. He'll go to a team that maybe has a bit of uncertainty at quarterback.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Again, like maybe
Titans, maybe?
Titans? That's
I think
actually
it's close.
That's an
That
interesting
look
one.
great. Yeah.
I would say before they drafted Trey Lance, the
Browns?
49ers.
Browns.
The Browns, potentially.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know if he'd go with.
There are a
that
lot of
division.
teams you could go to. The Dolphins.
Yeah.
The Giants. The Jets.
Yeah, I'm assuring you this is probably a Gardner Minshew Taylor Heineke situation where we're overhyping
possible.
him.
It
And
is
it probably
very
won't be that. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. But I think it's gonna be one of those things where I found a PJ Walker video. Yeah. No, I think starting wise, this guy, I think he could be one. I think the end day he could be one, and I think if I'm again, do we think the Texans and Lions have good franchises? Maybe not, but if I'm a smart manager, I'm waiting for Bryce Young next year, and maybe I'm going for a Tyler Huntley this year or next year, and then I think that would definitely be a great combination. But
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
move on to our next topic. So we talked about we obviously already talked about AFC playoff race.
NFC.
What?
Now NFC playoff race.
Yeah, now NFC.
I think really interesting because I think now at this point, I think San Francisco are almost a lock for the playoffs because I think they've kind of been like the sixth team that's almost. I feel like they're in between like.
We didn't
top
talk
five.
about AFC, but we just included it when we talked about the Bills. So.
I think top five. There's the top five, the elite teams: the Packers, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams,
Cowboys.
and then
it's a 2-game drop off.
And then there's kind of like the teams that are kind of fighting for the 7th seed: Eagles, Saints, Vikings, Washington. There are a lot of teams. Seattle were a few weeks ago. I'd say we could also go with
Seattle, Carolina, Atlanta, Washington, New Orleans, Philadelphia, Minnesota are right now.
And I think we used to have San Francisco in there, but I think now they've kind
But
of
now I
merged
think
as like the team in the middle. They're in the middle.
They're taking a step up.
Yeah, so I'd say San Francisco should make the playoffs, but the 7th seed, that's where it's getting really interesting because New Orleans just got a huge win against Tampa Bay. I don't think anyone expected them to win that game. Nevertheless, shut out Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they end the season home against Miami, home against Carolina, and away against Atlanta, which could be huge in terms of playoff implications versus Atlanta, one of the more underrated rivalries in the NFL. Two teams that really don't like each other. So that will be a very important game. I feel like down the road when Atlanta, they will play Detroit, which they definitely should have win, even if Detroit did beat the Cardinals.
But,
so you never know. You never know.
Right now, I'd
and
wanna
Buffalo
rule
would
it
Yeah,
out.
the difference with the NFC is obviously it's very top heavy. This is the better division.
Yeah.
Let's I think in the AFC, there it's obviously the number one spot is up for debate. This could change. I think the Packers to me right now are a lock. I think
For the North?
for the North.
I mean, they are a lot.
They
They've
clinched.
confirmed. They clinched the division.
No. I'm saying for the NFC.
Oh, for the top
Yeah,
of
for
the
the top
conference.
of
Basically they've got a 2-game lead because they've got
They have Browns, Vikings, Lions. Browns, they should win.
They should
Vikings,
win.
they should win. Lions, they should win.
Yeah.
So I think they will definitely go.
I
They need to go
think-
2-1 to basically clinch the 1 seed.
And big game.
I-
Cardinals
yeah.
play the Colts. That's gonna be a big game. Rams play the
Arizona need to
Vikings.
get some momentum back.
Rams play the Vikings. That could be a huge game. Vikings go win that game, and the Vikings. I think I'm very happy to see the Vikings in that 7th seed. I think the Vikings, and I'm very happy to see the 49ers, a team that is so funny. The beginning of the season, we were like, like this is not a very good team, and then kind of out of nowhere they
They've
jumped.
had a very good.
And
they've had
it's
a very
it's so
supportive-
funny. Top heavy NFC, bottom of the AFC is better than the wild card teams like Ravens,
Probably,
obviously in the 8th, and then
Steelers,
Bills.
Raiders. I think
It's,
Steelers, Raiders,
and
Broncos.
then as much as I'm a
Dolphins,
Giants fan, I would love to see the Eagles make the playoffs. I think that would finally solidify, okay, Jalen Hurts is our guy, which I've been pushing since last year. I don't think the Saints will. That would be embarrassing if you are an NFC team for the Saints to make the playoffs without Jameis Winston, who's not even amazing, but let alone Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill.
Like basically like not even a quarterback.
Not even a quarterback.
NFL player.
Yeah, and then Washington maybe. I think it'll end. Washington may get that 9. I don't know. I think right now in the NFC,
I think they've got like significantly the most talent on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
I think. Oh, they've got tough games though. They've got the Rams and they got the Packers and they got the Bears. But I don't think
all
any
games they could potentially lose.
No,
not the Bears. I think the Bears are
beat the Bears.
The thing to me in the NFC, I think the way it's panned out right now, with Packers at 1, Cowboys 2, Bucks 3, Cardinals 4, Rams 5, Niners 6, Vikings 7. I think that will stay the same. I think within that, I think all those teams will make the playoffs. It's depending, maybe the Niners jump up, maybe the 49ers jump up, maybe the Cardinals jump up. But I think those 7 teams will be the playoff teams for the NFC.
Yeah, I think.
Whereas you look at the, the Ravens have potential who are 8. They could go and win. They could be the number 1 seed.
Not number 1, 4. I'd say 4.
No, I'm not saying they will be.
Yeah,
I'm saying
you
technically could be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Whereas it's not as clear cut in the NFC.
I would. So also, I feel like another question I have to ask: who do you think will win the NFC West? Arizona, Los Angeles? I wouldn't say San Francisco. I think they have. I think it'll be
Arizona. I think you saw them trade games. We saw a split down the middle. Arizona go and win. The Rams went and won. And it's funny, they both won away.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be the Cardinals. My prediction, I think the Bucks will fall to the 5. I think the Cardinals will move up 1. The Rams will move up 1.
Well, the Bucks can't.
Not Bucks fall to the 5. Bucks stay at 3. I think Cardinals and Rams will switch.
I'm gonna go with the Rams, and I think it's not an indictment really of really how good of a team Arizona are, because I think a lot of people are kind of getting too crazy about this kind of bad streak. Obviously, I think LA are a good team, even with the COVID stuff that they had without Ramsey and Higbee. I think they're still a very good team. And I think, well, Detroit, that's inexcusable. But I think in the NFL, it's any given Sunday. And I think they're still a very, very good team, even without D-Hop. I still think they're a very good team. And I think the rest of the games are winnable. I think they can beat the Colts because I think they've got a strong enough secondary to kind of, again, strong enough secondary to hold off Carson Wentz and force him to maybe a couple of mistakes. And I think the Cardinals are too good a team again not to get back on track. I think they'll beat Dallas because I think Dallas is such just a type of game that they lose. And I think Arizona, again, I think they're very comparable with the Cowboys. I think one of the things that I think they have that the Cowboys don't is, again, a good secondary that can kind of slow down that elite receiving core that Dallas has enough to win the game. But then I feel like they'll lose to Seattle. And I can't explain why, because Seattle are like easily the worst team of the bunch. But I think one of the things that is a problem with Arizona is that they're a bit inconsistent now. After starting off 7-0. I think 7-0. 8-0, I think, actually. 3, 4, 5. No, 7-0. But I feel like now in the second half of the season, they've been very, very inconsistent. And I think when you're going against a team like Seattle, who, although, again, we talked about earlier, they have a lot of problems. They still have Russell Wilson as their quarterback. They've still
that's what I'm saying for the Seahawks. They still.
It's more of a. I feel like it's a bit of a trap game there, and I feel like I could see
the Seahawks Arizona when they have Russell Wilson will be.
I feel like Arizona with a division on the line, having to play Seattle, Russell Wilson, a must-win game. I feel like they'd actually lose, and I think the Rams will win out, even though they also have a somewhat difficult schedule to end the year. They have the Vikings, the Ravens, and the Niners, which I don't think is easy.
I don't see them winning out. I think that the thing that's going to push the Cardinals actually to the top of the division is the tiebreaker. I think they're both going 2-1 to end the season. The Cardinals have Colts, Cowboys, Seahawks. Seahawks is a win, and then either Colts or Cowboys is a win as well. I think they could probably beat the Colts this week.
That's a tough one.
Actually, I think they're losing to the Colts, beating the Cowboys next week. Then the Rams with the Vikings, Ravens, Niners. I could honestly see them losing out.
I don't think it's out of.
I don't think they'll lose out. I think they will go. I think they will win.
It's not out of the question, but I think the Rams are too good of a team.
I think the Rams are beating the Vikings, beating the Ravens, and then losing in week 18 to the 49ers.
Yeah, that was the game that I had. That was kind of tough for me. Also,
and the 49ers beat the Rams. Yeah, they beat the Rams.
So right now, my total I looked out at all the games, seeing what I think. I think the Packers will win out, go 3-0 to end the season, push them to 14-3, keep the top spot.
I think the Cowboys could potentially.
I think the Buccaneers will take the number 2 seed. They'll win out because the Bucs have Panthers, Jets, Panthers. It doesn't get easier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Bucks will win out and they will take the 2 seed. Cowboys will probably drop 1. Let me see. The Cowboys have Washington, Cardinals, Eagles.
I think they can drop 3.
I don't think they can drop 3.
I don't think they will, but I think
they're dropping 1 game and potentially it's the Cardinals game.
I could see them dropping Washington.
But I think I could see the Cowboys winning out as well. So, but then at the number 4 spot, I have the Cardinals because I think the Cardinals will win. I actually think the Cardinals will win Seahawks and Cowboys, lose Colts. And then the Rams will follow them up. Just the tiebreaker in between them. The Rams go 2-1 to end the season, 12-5. Then the Niners go 2-1 to end the season, put them at 10-7. And then my number 7 team, maybe against popular opinion, the Saints. Saints are sitting at 7-7 right now. Listen to the end of season schedule. They have the Dolphins, Panthers, Falcons.
I don't see
that is 3 very winnable games. I see the Saints winning out.
I think the Dolphins beat them. I think the Falcons beat them. I think maybe they beat the Panthers.
I don't see the Saints losing to any of these 3 teams right now.
They
have the Dolphins at home, they have the Panthers at home, and then they go away to a really shaky Falcons team. I see the Saints winning out, and I see the Saints taking that spot. Also, I see the Vikings go 1-2 this season to end the season out. The Eagles have Giants, Washington, Cowboys. Washington is in Washington. I could see them dropping that game. Cowboys is at home. I definitely see them dropping that game. So the Eagles go 1-2. The Vikings have Rams. Rams is a tough game. Packers is a tough game. Then the Bears. So even if the Saints only go 2-1 in those 3 games, the Saints still have that spot. So I have the Saints taking that number 7 spot.
I don't see that. That's probably the least. I think the 7 spot. I think it'll be the Vikings. I think maybe the Eagles. I think it's either Eagles or Vikings. Saints to me, I think drop farther down.
I don't see it. The Saints are playing well right now. I think they could go 2-1 or 3-0, and that's all they'll need to take that spot.
Yeah.
But if we want to move on to the next one, we've got, if you were all done on that, we've got, so with the talent on both sides of the ball, are the Rams legitimately a threat to dethrone the Bucks and upset the Packers? I'll start on this one really quick. No. I don't think so. They have the talent, but no. They won't dethrone the Bucks or upset the Packers.
I disagree. I mean, I don't think they will actually dethrone them and go to the Super Bowl, but I think they're definitely a threat. With that much talent on both sides of the ball, and I think they're starting to kind of click a bit more. Odell's kind of getting a bit more comfortable in that system. Cooper Kupp, he's Cooper Kupp. He's been elite this season. No way to...
Yeah, he's been ridiculously good.
The offensive line has been solid. They've got Darrell Henderson. They could be getting Cam Akers back to the playoffs, and imagine how much
really
they could. Yeah, that Sean McVay said, "I'm not ruling out any possibility of."
I don't see him back.
Okay, but when I look at the Rams, they beat a really poor Seahawks team that we talked about earlier.
Yes.
They beat the Cardinals, who have looked really shaky recently without DeAndre Hopkins. They beat the Jaguars by 30. No surprise there. And then before that, a loss to the Packers, a loss to the Niners, a loss to the Titans. So,
but I think they're kind of starting to get.
They're clicking. They're starting to get there, but I just don't think that they're that big of a threat to these teams that are just better than them.
Well, you could say that, but at the same time, it's not like the Bucks or the Packers have been invincible. I mean, Tampa Bay,
clearly not.
They just got shut out. I think when you face a much more when you have a much more talented team like the Los Angeles Rams, I think the one problem with for the Rams will probably be going into a hostile environment like Lambeau Field. I think that would probably be
not Lumen Field this year.
No, sad times. But I think with the Rams, I think not only on the offense are they clicking, which I mean we all expected that. Their defense has gotten a lot better the past few weeks. I think against the Seahawks they only allowed 10 points. Against the Cardinals they only allowed 23, but it's the Cardinals, so that's still pretty good. The Jaguars, I know it's a single digit. I just don't exactly remember there. Against the Jaguars, how many points they allowed?
7.
Who?
The Rams defense. I think they've been clicking a lot recently, even without. Sometimes they didn't have Jalen Ramsey. They didn't have Jalen Ramsey at times. They didn't have Von Miller at times. But now they're kind of getting more and more healthy, and I think now they're in a position where they have a viable shot of dethroning the Bucks and the Packers. So I think the Packers, I mean, they're a better team, but they're less talented than the Rams in terms of from a talent standpoint. And I think talent does matter a lot in the playoffs. I mean, obviously it does, but I think especially in the playoffs, it really helps to have so many amazing weapons the Los Angeles Rams have. I think the Bucks are a big threat, but I think honestly, I'd rather go away and play the Bucks than go away and play the Packers. So the Packers just a whole nother environment at Lambeau Field. But the Bucs, they've beaten them before. It's not like they have an elite fan base that shows up every game at Raymond James. And
the problem is they probably will have to go to the Packers.
I mean,
think
if they get the 3 seed or the 2 seed, I think.
But they
they'll play
won't.
The Bucs.
But they won't.
I have them getting the 2 seed.
The Bucs and the Cowboys right now just look like better teams. I think the Rams will. I think right now. I think. I just think that right now they will end up with either the 4 or the 5, and it doesn't matter. So they're 4 or 5. I think they're beating the Cardinals in the first round because they will be playing the Cardinals in the first round. The Rams. If they're a 4 seed, they're playing the Cardinals. If they're the 5 seed, they're playing the Cardinals.
I think
they're the 4 seed right now. Actually, sorry, I think they're the 5 seed right now.
Okay, if they don't win the division, then I
the Rams are the 5 seed.
Yes.
But if
so I see the Rams beating the Cardinals in that first playoff week, but the Bucs won't get upset by the Saints, and the Cowboys won't get upset by the Niners right now. So if that means that they're going to Lambeau and taking on the Packers team that will have won at this point 3 to end the season, and before that they've won how many straight? 1, 2, 3 straight. So they will be coming off of 6 straight wins and a bye week. They won't go to Lambeau and beat the Packers.
We saw
which is why I think they're just not a legitimate threat.
But look at the game last year. Rams went to Lambeau. That was a close game until I think the end.
Yeah,
Goff played well. You bring in Stafford.
He also had a bum finger.
Yeah,
so it was Goff with a bum finger compared to
Stafford
with
no injuries.
A good finger.
But it was a team that was tore up on all sides of the ball by the Packers. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers went for 296 yards and 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones had 99 yards and a touchdown on 14 carries. And they weren't able to defend the Packers. And the Rams, it was Jared Goff, but I just don't think that Stafford's going to make enough of a difference in that game at Lambeau against, again, a 6 straight win Packers coming off of a week of rest. They won't win that game. I could see it being close, but they won't.
It will be
Jalen
close.
Ramsey has not played as well as Devontae Adams.
People don't give him enough credit. Jalen Ramsey's been fantastic.
But Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. No one guards Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
so that's the thing. And then they've also got deep threats in Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Alan Lazard. And I just don't see the Rams having any chance of beating the Packers.
I think they have a solid chance, but I don't win.
I think right now, I think the Cowboys will make the biggest drop.
I don't know. I don't see them dropping against Washington or the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think they could. I think the Cowboys have it in them.
But I don't think they will.
We're not addressing. They do not have a good coach. I don't think they have a top 20 coach.
Neither do the Eagles or Washington.
Not even. Yeah, but I feel like
I think Washington definitely do.
Rivera.
They're 7-7.
Yeah, but
I know they don't have a lot of talent on their team, so it looks better.
I think Ron Rivera's a top 20 coach.
But Rivera's. He was fired for a reason.
But that was after many successful years with the Panthers, so he's been successful. He led them to an NFC East title when, obviously it was the NFC East, but he still led them to a division title, and I don't think anyone was really counting Washington as a potential.
But at 6-10.
7-9.
7-9. Big difference.
And
they were not good. They won the division, but they were not good.
They were good second half of the season.
Yeah.
Second half of the season, they started off 1-5.
But good second half of the season doesn't really count. They were not a good team. They were 7-9.
They almost beat the Bucs, so I think they take it.
They almost.
That's all it comes down to. They didn't go far in the playoffs. They were not a very good team.
Right.
They did not deserve to almost win that game.
Yeah.
They were not even close to as good.
Yeah.
I don't see right now the Cowboys dropping to Washington. I know that's a little bit off topic, but I think the Cowboys will keep their spot in the top 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's I would say, I think fine. Yeah, but in terms of the Rams, no, I don't see them dethroning either. And it's close. It's the 2-5 all the same records.
They're not good enough right now.
Who knows?
Nobody's really good enough.
Maybe the 49ers are going to win their division.
You never know at this point.
Know.
Niners could go win 3, and the Rams and Cardinals could both drop 2 and drop 3. But do we want to move on? It's getting a little repetitive, but the next one we got is... all right. It's a big one. Dylan's going to be mad that he's not here because we're talking about Tua Tagovailoa. Has he proven himself with a 7-game win streak? And is he an RPO master like we've seen Patrick Mahomes do? I really don't know. No one?
you guys know I don't think Tua's a necessarily talented quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't completely disagree, but I also he's got the talent. Like he's good.
I mean, he's an
but
NFL
he's not,
quarterback.
yes.
He's an NFL quarterback
well, yes,
talent,
but for an NFL quarterback, I don't think he's not talented, but I don't think he's superbly talented. I don't think he's very talented. So what do you think? Has he proven himself? The Dolphins are on a
RPO.
They're on a 7-game win streak. We'll give him credit for that. But is Tua proven that he deserves a couple more years with the Dolphins? Has he proven that he's their franchise?
I think he definitely deserves a couple more years.
I think he's proven that he is a quarterback for the next year.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he's like a quarterback that like, okay, now we're gonna give up on him. Especially considering the second half of the season, I think the Dolphins would come under a lot of fire for just saying, okay, we're done with you, Tua. I think he's still done good enough to kind of obviously keep his role, but he is. I feel like at the moment he's never gonna. I feel like he's never gonna be like that quarterback that's like an elite guy that takes them to like the promised land. That some Dolphins fans are maybe saying, oh yeah, he's gonna be that guy. Give him time. But I feel like a lot of the things that he's been doing, that I feel like are quarterbacks that a lot of quarterbacks can do. Because I think obviously Tua hasn't had a great offensive line, but how much does that matter when you're getting the ball out, designed to get out the ball like in 1.5 seconds?
I think it will really hurt them once teams know how to play it.
Yeah.
Because right now it's working because they're like, wow, we have not seen this yet. We don't know what to do, and then eventually teams will just be like, what do we need safeties for?
Yeah.
Because there's no deep threat. Zero. I know Jalen Waddle could be used as a deep threat, but their offensive line won't protect Tua long enough, and they're just Tua is gonna miss half those throws. And Waddle will drop some of those throws. Like, it's just going to be, maybe he's not missing, but it'll be good coverage enough of the time. You've got to trust your number one corner most of the time in a one-on-one. So it really it means that teams don't need to play too high. You can stick one guy up there, and then you can stack the box with smaller players that can get out and tackle. You don't really need to worry about the run game. There is one thing that you need to worry about when playing the Dolphins right now, and that's their short passing game. You can go out with 6 secondary members on the field against the Dolphins right now. You can play 3 linemen because they'll have no trouble stopping the run because of the weak Dolphins offensive line, especially if they're decent. Then you play 2 middle linebackers, and you can send some pressure, you can send no pressure, and then you have 6 corners, 6 defensive backs out there, where now they just can't make those short passes, and they're all pressing off the line. 2 high safeties, and then you've got 4 corners pressing at the line. You don't really need to worry now. And teams will get used to it. Teams will game plan against it. There are some really good coaches in the NFL. There are some really good coaches who will be able to eat the Dolphins' offense alive, especially with a team that hasn't showed that much talent.
Even in this like streak, let's see who the Dolphins really actually have beaten during this win streak. They beat Houston, the faltering Baltimore Ravens, the Jets.
That's an impressive one. I don't want to say the faltering Baltimore Ravens. That's what started the faltering.
Fair enough. The Jets, the Panthers, the Giants, the Jets.
Giants are really good.
And the Jets. So basically you got
one good team in there.
One good team, and then the rest are, I'd say, bottom feeders.
They're bottom 5, bottom 6 in the NFL.
7 wins is 7 wins, however you take it. Winning 7 games in a row.
In the NFL, it's impressive.
Yeah.
But
especially starting off how they started.
But context is still very important because obviously he's done this against, I'd say, almost all of these teams, even the Ravens, aren't like, none of these are elite defenses. Especially not Houston, especially not the Jets. I guess maybe the Panthers, but their defense has fallen off a bit recently.
It's fallen off a lot. And ever since J.C. Horn's injury, they just haven't looked as good.
Yeah, right. They had so many. Yeah, my problem with Tua, we have a Dolphins fan on the channel. Dylan, unfortunately, is not here because he lives in a different town, so it's hard to commute. But my problem with Tua, and I know everyone's like, "Oh my God, you can't say this." He doesn't have a standout trait. He doesn't have a trait where I'm like, okay, have this, develop this. He will go on and produce. To me, Tua, like you said, this is what I've said. I think Tua could be a franchise quarterback. I don't think he'll be an elite franchise quarterback. I think he'll be someone who
takes you to playoffs
you'll hit
year
playoffs
after year after year.
Maybe if you have a really good surrounding, support, you can probably go and maybe make a Super Bowl run. But Tua's not going to be that kind of guy. And to me, he looks like, Jimmy G, but a little bit worse. I think Tua, to me, again, it's those short passes. You look at the air yards. I mean, most of his passes are off 2-3 yard passes. And then to me, looking at the stats, last year, that was year everyone's like, oh, Tua's not very good. Obviously, injuries came in late. Or not injuries, excuse me, came in late. I mean, you look at the stats. Completion percentage, good. That's his standout trait. 64%, 69%. But you look at the yards. He's played more. I think he's played more games this season than he did last season. I might be wrong.
But with the standout trait, Dylan would argue that his standout trait is his brain
and his accuracy. But I think to me, a quarterback, you need to be a smart quarterback and an accurate quarterback unless you're Drew.
I think he's.
But it's worked for Tom Brady. Like obviously, Tom Brady's on another level, but Tom Brady doesn't have the elite arm strength of Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. He does not have the accuracy of other quarterbacks. Like he's amazing. Like there's no doubt about it. But there's no one thing that he's much better at. And you can find other quarterbacks in the NFL that have looked good that have that same thing. It's just how it is. Quarterbacks can play well without one standout trait, and that's why I don't like that argument. And I just think with the knowledge Tua has, I know everybody has to have the knowledge, but I think some quarterbacks just have it on a little bit of a deeper level. I don't know that Tua does, but that's what I think Dylan would argue as a standout trait.
I think to me this is a really weird take. This is probably not going to make much sense. I feel like being a lefty is a disadvantage.
No, I think that's actually a fair point.
I think being a lefty is a disadvantage.
I mean, actually, it has its advantages and has its disadvantages. Because disadvantage is that you're taught quarterback from like a righty standpoint because almost all the quarterbacks are righties. So like you have a different blind side, different way you see the field. I think you almost scan the field differently. I feel like because maybe you go from I don't know. Again, this could easily. I think it could still. I think kind of being a lefty almost changes like your standpoint. Also, maybe this is just me, and maybe it is because it's Tua. But I feel like also lefties, is it just because they have like not a strong arm?
Yeah, I don't know. This might be.
There just aren't as many lefty quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's true. That's
so we don't see it.
Why? But at the same time, I just feel like, I guess maybe, Michael Vick. That's probably the quarterback I can think of that has a strong arm. That's a lefty. I mean, obviously we haven't seen many lefties, but I don't know. I'm not like very, very.
Steve Young.
Yeah, I guess Steve Young.
Yeah.
I mean, how strong of an arm did he have?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't watch Steve Young play.
Oh, back in the old days, I watched Steve Young play. He would have torn it up in this.
Tim Tebow, what a quarterback! Yeah. But the Tua Tagovailoa is actually the only present quarterback that is left-handed.
Yeah.
So it's rare. I don't know if that makes it a disadvantage because it's rare, but whatever it is, it's a different look for the defense.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a different look for the offense.
I'm going to preface this now before Dolphins fans get mad because videos on Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins generally do very well. I don't know if there's some weird Dolphins fan base that's like very.
Oh, Dolphins fan base are like.
Dolphins fans are weird.
I am not saying Tua is bad because of the left arm. I'm simply posing the question of is it a I don't
what
know
do you
why.
think also do you think it makes it harder for the Dolphins to game plan because he's a left-handed quarterback?
No, it's not only that. I just feel like it's a disadvantage.
Well, because of game plan, I think is the main reason it would be a disadvantage.
Yeah,
I don't think it's because he's lefties aren't as good as righties.
I don't know.
Because that's not it.
Yeah, that's not the main point.
But it's harder to game plan. It's the only thing that I could think of. Honestly.
And then going back to the stats, this season hasn't showed in the last season, Tua was not aggressive enough. That's what I was saying. Tua needs to be more aggressive. He needs to push the ball downfield.
But I think they've almost kind of made him play within his system.
Yeah,
play. And that's what a good coaching staff should do. They make him play to his strengths. His strengths are kind of intermediate, kind of taking what the defense gives them, and honestly, kind of reading that classic RPO thing. And it helps when you have receivers like Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki who are just elite at creating separation and are just.
He hasn't been using Gesicki a lot recently, which I think is disappointing because he's a good player.
He's a great player, Mike Gesicki. I think he's arguably
top 5 tight end. I think it's hard because he's got to break into that. It's Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Andrews. Can Gesicki break into that number 5? I think, in my opinion, I'd have to go through all the tight ends. I'm definitely forgetting. I think Gronk is my number 5 right now. But Gesicki's definitely top 10.
Has Gronk been playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's been injured a few times this season, I think. But
yeah, is that anybody more to say on Tua?
I haven't been able to finish the stats to me.
Okay, stats.
It doesn't show great improvement yards wise. It only shows he's been playing more games. That's the only thing yards shows me. It hasn't shown. He has 3 more touchdowns than last year, 3 more interceptions than last year. The only thing that's basically improved is the completion percentage a little bit, which I think is only because he's been throwing very safe passes, and his passer rating has gone up. So to me, again. I think this would be a whole different situation if there was a Trevor Lawrence like guy, or if there was.
Oh wait,
some...
Trevor Lawrence. What am I? Okay, yeah.
If
wait,
what?
I'm never mind.
Yeah.
I always, for some reason, just think that Trevor Lawrence is left-handed. I don't know why. I've just always had the impression that he's left-handed for the past 4 years, but I know he's not. So I just like, oh, Trevor Lawrence, he's left-handed. Nope, no, he's definitely not. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think, so to me, the stats don't show. And again, the playing wise either. And again, it's like, oh, he's playing really well. And then he throws 2 interceptions against a Jets defense. That's, again, I love this word, bereft of talent. And just simply just good players, I think, at the end of the day for the Jets. So I think that's been a big reason why they haven't been playing well. I mean, I think, again, final verdict on Tua, what's the, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where, It's hard to tell because I think Tua came to the league and Tua came to the league and I can't remember my first impression was on him. I don't know. It was young freshman Cian who recorded on his little desk and didn't really know much about football. I think I liked him. I don't remember particularly disliking him, but then it was that, he started to come to the league and I don't really like Dylan. No, excuse me. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. We just don't really
I'm joking. Me and Dylan have very opposing football opinions generally, so then it kind of rubbed off a little bit like that. But I think Tua, to me, it was big. I used to be like, get him out, and I think it was a little bit premature. But now I think give him another year. And again, maybe he could be a franchise guy, but like we've said, not an elite franchise quarterback. But let's move on now to our next topic, and that's going in the division to you, Suraj. I think a big mistake the Jets. This is the topic I made. A big mistake that the Jets made was starting Zach Wilson too early. And I think as a Jets fan, you've seen it kind of pan out. What are your thoughts on how they've kind of dealt with Zach Wilson so far?
I'd say it's been disappointing, but I think obviously no one's going to say it. But I think he actually has improved, Zach Wilson. Because he's been a lot more,
I haven't seen it in the stats. I don't watch the Jets, though. So
No, I think
so I don't know.
In game, I think he's been a more cautious with the ball. I realize that he's not at BYU anymore. But I think at the same time,
definitely
probably shouldn't have. And I think maybe all of us, me in particular, gave him a bit too much credit for being an NFL-ready quarterback, which actually, really, he was.
I don't know why we thought that.
Really, none of the quarterbacks really have looked NFL-ready, except for Mac Jones. I said Mac Jones was the most NFL-ready quarterback.
I think everybody.
That's true. I guess everybody said that.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence, but
the thing is, everybody said Mac Jones was NFL-ready. The question is whether or not you thought he was good, and nobody else thought he was good.
I think, though, with Zach Wilson, he's been kind of put in a. Correct, but I think he's been put in a position where it's so hard to succeed when you're playing on the Jets, but you're also kind of again being forced to kind of learn as you play. And
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. If your opinion, can you put that the same on Tua though? Because you look at the dysfunction he's been in.
I think, that's fair, but I think also we said that Tua was an NFL-ready quarterback going in straight away. He should have been, and also he actually also had a mentor that he was able to handhold, Ryan Fitzpatrick,
right.
And Zach Wilson hasn't had that. I guess Joe Flacco, but he didn't come till mid-season, and I think really it's just been it's been a very difficult ride for Zach Wilson. But I think also while he was injured, I think he did pick up a bit more stuff. I think he kind of became a bit more seasoned. We've seen how he started the past few games. The final stat line doesn't look as great, but when how he started the game against the Eagles or how he started the game with the Dolphins, he was starting very, very well. He was very impressive. He was making good decisions with the ball. And obviously I think he didn't play very well against the Saints, but even that game he didn't start terribly. I think he's really improving how to start games. I think one of the other problems really that's happening with the Jets is that we're failing to make adjustments in the second half. I think he's also going under a lot of pressure. The
completion percentage is bad.
The completion percentage is very, very, very bad.
Okay, now
here's but I think he's been put in situations where the throws when he's had to drop back, I think some of the looks. The best. I don't know what his name is on TikTok. He's like a 12-year-old kid who's a Jets fan, and just he's breaking down that early Patriots game where it was Zach Wilson threw 4 picks, and it was the tight end was just standing still. The two offensive linemen were blocking one guy.
I think it was 3 guys blocking one.
No one was
blocking the other 2, and there were 2 guys standing there looking at each other. Corey Davis then
like dropped
popped it up
yeah.
and then didn't know how to jump up.
So
to
I think
it.
again,
like,
it's taking it within context, taking in the bad performances within context. But I think to me, maybe it was we had keeping Joe Flacco at the beginning of the year and starting him. Or not Mike White. You're not going to start Mike White.
I don't know if he's
Mike White's the franchise quarterback.
I only thought that for
Yeah.
All right, so now here's an interesting thing to look at. Your opinions on Josh Allen? Is he a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
I gotta think of all of them
Okay, but just without like having to look at all of the other ones, Josh Allen, I think yes, is probably a top 5 quarterback.
I'd say
but he's borderline. It's close. So
This
either
season,
way, he's a quarterback that's capable of winning a Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
This season, in 10 games, Zach Wilson has 1,911 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions on 56.2% completion percentage. Josh Allen, his rookie season, had a whopping in 12 games, 52.8% completion percentage. That's 3.5 points lower than Zach Wilson. Just 2,074 yards. That's in 2 more games. 10 touchdowns, just 3 more touchdowns in those 2 games, and 12 interceptions. So Josh Allen arguably didn't look better than Zach Wilson in his rookie season. I think it's very close. I don't know who I would pick if I'm looking at which rookie quarterback I'd rather have. Then Josh Allen made that step and threw for 20 touchdowns, 9 picks with an extra 1,000 yards, completion percentage bumped up by 6 points, and then again by 11 points next season when he threw for 37 touchdowns and 10 picks.
Yeah, it's all about that jump.
Could we see that growth? I don't know. I don't know if we can
that
see
was
that
my question
much.
to you. What do you see in Zach Wilson year 2? Year 1, not much is going to improve.
I think what happened though with Josh Allen is his supporting cast and the organization progressively got better.
And
he was set up with a better defense in the second year and kind of had an offense that was slightly improved. And then third year, they go and get Stephon Diggs. They make some additions to the offensive line. They become a very, very good team.
Yeah, because to me,
and Josh Allen becomes a very, very good quarterback. And I think Zach Wilson kind of needs that. I think right now what we got to do is we got to kind of bulk up the offensive line a bit more.
Yep,
I
agree.
We don't need a number 1 receiver yet, but I think we should go for
I think you do.
What I think is really unfortunate about Zach Wilson,
I think with the amount of issues,
you saw with the Bills, they were like, okay, we're locking in on Josh Allen. Let's go get Stephon Diggs. Let's go do this. Let's go do that.
But it was a gradual thing. It wasn't like make all the moves year 1. You got to make the right
but they
moves.
made them. So it was Josh Allen came in, Tremaine Edmonds came in. He's another young guy that drafted Tre'Davious White.
Drafting. Their drafting was great
with Rousseau and
Matt Milano.
The year before AJ Epineza. Matt Milano. Then they brought in on offense Stephon Diggs, and they're really trying with that running back. They brought in Devin Singletary and Zach Moss.
They
didn't pan out well. They're trying.
I can tackle Devin Singletary.
No, they're trying, and that's the point. They're really making moves to support Josh Allen. It's not working out in that running back position, but it's working everywhere.
I think the Jets will make moves, and I think again we have a.
But the thing is, they said they were going to make moves this year too, and the biggest player they went for was Corey Davis, who has been awful.
Carl Lawson
bigger than Corey Davis.
Yeah, Carl Lawson was our biggest move. We needed an edge rusher. We went out.
But has Carl Lawson been that good?
I think Carl Lawson would make a significant difference.
I think what the thing is that he was built to fit the 4-3 system that we were going to run. He was going to thrive from kind of taking on like one-on-ones with the tackles when we had John Franklin Myers, Fola Fakasi, Sheldon Rankins, and Quinn Williams all on the defensive line. I think he would have feasted. And I think he will come back from the Achilles injury. But
will he be as good? Like I think
he will be.
Even if they made that, even if I'm sorry that Carl Lawson move was bigger, like was it a big move?
Not a huge move, but I think that's why we also want to solidify a lot of more pieces. I think we're in a better position this year than we were in last year because I think we have, even though we still have a lot of needs, I think we have less needs. I think what we need to get right now to really stabilize this defense, because I think this defense, we do have a lot of issues there. I think we've got to get linebacker, because what the Bills have really was great is that they've had linebackers that have kind of almost changed the identity of this team. When we saw, obviously, said Milano, Edmonds.
Yeah,
probably one.
I mean, just the two of them alone, it's been good.
I think the Jets, maybe Devin Lloyd, maybe something like that.
But again, like the Bills made big moves, the Jets made moves.
No, I wouldn't say the Bills. I mean, before
the Bills
Stephon
made
Diggs,
big moves. Stephon Diggs and Tre'Davious White are big moves.
But that's a draft.
But
they
did well drafting.
Exactly. That's why I think we need to do. But I'm saying in terms of big free agency moves, the Bills didn't make a big move until Stephon Diggs. I don't think we need to make a big move yet. I think we got to still kind of take our time.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to kind of continue to fill the needs that we need to fill. And I think right now the position whether you're in the Jets, you don't need to go for that one elite players. You gotta go for the many solid players.
Yeah, there's different approaches at it because I think the Bills, you look at the pros and cons of going for Stephon Diggs was, okay, we got an elite receiver, but then there's not much else around us. So I think, again, going back to the Zach Wilson and in terms of should we have started him?
But who else would they have started? That's my...
I think Flacco, but I know they didn't have him, but again...
It's just a bad situation. I know they rushed him, but if they weren't going to start him,
I don't know how we didn't see that in
in
hindsight. He's from BYU. Why? Yeah. I mean,
they drafted him number 2. They shouldn't want to bench him, but they kind of needed to. Trey Lance was benched because they've got Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Justin Fields was benched because they had Andy Dalton. But I'm not benching my rookie quarterback who I drafted at number 2 for Joe Flacco.
No, I think there's where I disagree. I think it could be.
I think they should have, but they should have gone and gotten somebody else.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they draft Kellen.
I personally would not have started Joe Flacco. I would have gone out and gotten a quarterback knowing that my 21-year-old quarterback is coming out of BYU.
Yeah, that's why.
And has not played anyone good in his career.
Yeah, besides Coastal Carolina.
Sorry, but I just don't know. Suraj, any final thoughts on the Jets right now?
I think
coaching,
now we've got
big part.
I think we've got a lot of issues to fill, but I think at the moment our coaches. I still trust in our coaches right now. I think he's been. I think our coaches are kind of learning on the job. I think Saleh got COVID, but that was bad. But I think he's been learning on the job as he's been coaching. I think LaFleur has improved really as an offensive coordinator and has given Zach a bit more to work with. I think when we get fully healthy, I think we will be a much better team. And I think in 2 years, I think we can be a solid football team because we have a lot more promise than a lot of people will give us credit for. Because we've got a lot of solid young pieces. We got Mekhi Becton, Elijah Vera Tucker.
Is Mekhi Becton? Has he been playing?
There's been no update on him, so I think he might be out for the year. And I think he could play if he wanted to.
Walking injury.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, but that was one injury. And also, all I'm gonna say is that I think we could have played this season, but I think the reason why they don't want to is the meaningless games. Why not? Why play?
Sir, why take away your good draft pick, right? So, Serge, one last question. So let's say right now the Jets have picked 4 and pick 8. Okay, let's say Tibbs, Hutchinson, and Stingley are the first 3 picks. Who are you taking at number 4?
Who's the options?
Tibbs, Stingley, and Hutchinson are all gone.
Oh no, they're gone.
They're gone.
I thought you said
who else is going early? So you've got guys like obviously Kyle Hamilton and top offensive linemen.
See, originally I had Hamilton at number 3, but now I think about it, I kind of regret that pick a bit because I feel like as good of
the Jets could use Stingley more though. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. But
so I'm saying Stingley's gone. Obviously, Stingley's your pick at 4 if he's there.
Gone. I feel like offensive line. I would really want to trade down in that situation.
Trade down?
I would. That's what I'd be really in favor for. Because what I want to do is I maybe trade down to right after our Seahawks pick and maybe take Linderbaum because I think he would have a huge impact. But at 4, that's not good.
So if you've got to settle on one name, who are you taking it for?
I'd probably maybe Ekwonu. I know I like Neal more, but Ekwonu can also play interior, and I feel like interior is still a pretty good need. And I think we also need versatility.
I have to watch his tape. I don't know how good he is, but I know he's.
I think he's pretty good. He's pretty good, but I'd probably go Neal or Ekwonu, but I think tackle isn't as big of a need because we've got Fan who's played very well this season. You got Morgan Moses and you got Mekhi Becton. I think Moses might be out of contract this season, but personally I would. Yeah, probably Ekwonu. But my first instinct would be to trade down.
Yeah. Okay, so then we see Giants, Panthers, and then back to the Jets. I want the Giants right now to draft probably Evan Neal and Karlaftis if those are the 2 guys that are there, which would leave the Panthers with, I don't really know, maybe Charles Cross?
Yeah.
Charles Cross, Evan Neal would still.
No, I'm taking Neal for the Giants. Maybe Cross, maybe Nakobe Dean. Quarterback. Okay, so let's say we see quarterback go, then the Jets pick again.
Linderbaum.
At that point, Linderbaum.
I love Linderbaum. I think.
Yeah.
I know it's
over Cross.
And a lot of people. Yeah, definitely. I think. Although we've already taken Ekwonu there.
If you take an Ekwonu, that's my.
But I think maybe we go corner. Maybe we go Andrew Booth.
McDuffie potentially.
No, not McDuffie.
No, not
I mean,
McDuffie
I know a lot
early.
of people like McDuffie, but I think personally I prefer Booth over him. I'm surprised not a lot of people are really giving Sauce Gardner over their second because I think A lot of people have him behind
biggest
Roger
game of his
McCreary.
life coming up against Jameson Williams.
That's
He's
gonna be
going
a
to get
matchup.
smoked.
Nah.
Bold prediction right here. He is going
I
to
think it's
get
gonna be. I think it's gonna be a draw.
smoked.
I think.
Yeah.
And
Nobody
I think
keeps up with Jameson
when we're
Williams right now.
going-
He can make some good plays, but I think Jameson Williams will come out the victor.
I think it'll be a draw. I think for a receiver like Jameson Williams, I think it's a good game where you hold. Well, you survive when you hold him under, I say, 7 catches. So I think you'll hold him like 5 or 6 catches, maybe a bit under 100 yards. And I think Ahmad Gardner, again, every game, I know he's not going against the highest level competition, AAC, in the American Conference. But no matter what, if you're locking down, just completely shutting off one half of the field every single game you're playing, and it's not like Conference USA. American Conference isn't the worst conference in the world. If you're just consistently every game just locking down the team's number 1 receiver, I think he should be in conversation for at least cornerback number 3, because a lot of people are saying
I think Sauce
McDuffie,
is too.
McCreary. I think
I've met
I think
three.
I could say 2A, 2B between Booth and Sauce. But
I'm taking
Sauce,
the size of Sauce and the fact that he has not let up a touchdown in I don't know
That's
how
your
many
That
classic.
will change.
That's your classic NFL corner.
Yeah.
No, I think Jameson Williams right now is just so good. I think it's not. James Williams is so fast. He has NFL speed. He has like above NFL speed, and that's the thing. That's what I didn't really see with John Mechie towards the end. John Mechie didn't have that one thing that really defined him as a wide receiver in the NFL.
He's 6'2",
And
also.
Jameson Williams has such good speed. I think he's potentially faster than Jalen Waddle, which is he's really, really fast. It's going to be hard for Ahmad Gardner to guard him, and Ahmad Gardner is.
So he ran a 4.39 40 since arriving to Alabama.
And Gardner ran a 4.74. Gardner's not super fast.
Yeah, that isn't fast.
He's. I mean,
4.74
I
is
like
not good.
Ahmad Gardner.
That one I think will go up.
I like Ahmad Gardner, but I really like Jameson Williams right now, and Williams will run all over him, especially with Bryce Young being able to find his receiver in any pocket. Right now, I'm seeing Jameson Williams having a very big game against Ahmad Gardner.
I don't see it. You guys know I love Ahmad Gardner. He's one of my favorite prospects. I don't see it. I think this Cincinnati defense has been fantastic. And I think Ahmad Gardner, obviously we know Kobe Bryant on the opposing side. They've been 2 really, really good corners this year, 2 of the best in college football. And I think Ahmad, Sauce Gardner, the big thing with Jameson Williams, the problems he's had is when you're a big corner and you can jam him at the line, the route kind of goes to crap. And I think Ahmad Sauce can get there, get safety held behind him,
Williams is
jam
quick,
at the
though.
line. And I think what Sauce has been great at, that man-to-man press coverage. Again, you're going up against Alabama in the playoffs. You're probably going to
They're going to lose, and probably by a lot. I'm putting my money on a lot.
Probably, I would say so.
I think it won't be close. Alabama's just much more
I think Sauce
talented.
will hold his own.
Yeah.
I think he'll hold his I don't think
I don't
he'll-
think.
I
Okay,
think
sorry.
he'll win the battle, but I think he'll
I
hold his own.
don't know that he'll get embarrassed in this. He will not win this battle. Jameson Williams, my money's on. You said around 7 catches. I think he'll have around 7, 8 catches, about 100 yards and a touchdown.
I think Sauce wins this
Which is not something that Sauce.
I think
Say
he has
fi-
3
I'd say-
catches.
I'd say 5, 6 catches for about 80 yards.
Yeah,
which is
I think
something-
that,
which
and
is solid, I'd say.
I will be disappointed if Ahmad Sauce is 1-on-1 and he lets up a touchdown against James Williams. Or
I think
whatever.
it'll
That's
happen.
a big
That's
play.
I just
tough.
think it'll happen
That is
because with
tough.
Jameson Williams' speed, I think it will happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard.
I don't know. I'm trusting my Cincinnati guy, but
Should we stick in that college football scene and go to Malik Willis?
I want to because I know we are a little bit. I want to go to our Thursday night preview.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to talk, and then we'll go to Malik Willis. So
got
Thursday
time.
night, we have Titans 49ers. Big game, playoff implications again. I think a game the 49ers really want to win. I think a game the Titans really don't want to drop, so they want to win. It's just a different way of
Yeah.
saying both. You know what I mean?
Good job.
I'm like that. Again, the question posed are the 49ers a legitimate threat in the NFC? When you look at this game, again, preview. What do we see in this game? Who do you got winning? Well, I know you already did weekly predictions,
yeah.
but
I think 49ers win. And
Okay.
I think the 49ers should win because I think Tennessee are just so short-handed at receiver. I think really that, and not only a receiver, I mean overall. I mean offensive line, running back, receiver. They don't really have that many weapons other than, Julio. I think he's injured again, right?
Julio, yeah.
Hamstring.
Me and
Oh my
Dylan
God.
absolutely nailed
That actually you did nail that.
Yeah.
And I think now the problem is that they're so short-handed at receiver, so short-handed at running back. Other than, again, like I said, like Deontay Foreman, who's basically just a kind of Derrick Henry light version. So I think he's been He's been solid.
Watch what you say about Derrick Henry around Charlie.
Or around Derrick Henry. I'll stiff arm you.
I'm not
can
saying,
tackle
He won't
Derrick
take
Henry.
heat from a stick.
I'm not saying. Imagine you say.
I just go from Devin Singletary to
Derrick Henry. It's like D. They both start with D, so it's.
Yeah, exactly. They're both just wimps.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing.
They
on me.
wimpy.
But anyway, yeah, I think I gotta go with San Francisco because I think Tennessee's defense has been solid as of late, but I think San Francisco's got such a multifaceted offense. I think they'll be able to overcome it. Whether or not they're running the ball with Elijah Mitchell, that'll probably open up the pass for Kittle, who's been the best tight in football recently. Debo Samuel.
Ooh, I don't know about that though. We saw Kelsey play so well this weekend.
Kelsey played well, but
I think it's still Kelsey.
I love Kittle. I think
I do like Kittle.
He's done it
right.
for multiple weeks on end. I think
That's
he
true.
deserves
I think right now he's looking like the best.
I think it's Kittle, but I think overall at least top 2 in the league right now. You've got Debo Samuel, who's a top 5 just player because he's
been
wide
receiver,
running back,
WRB1.
Exactly, quarterback soon most likely. He's elite. Brandon Ayuk has been very good recently. After people thought like, oh, he's gonna not be a part of this offense. He's gonna be completely ignored. His career is ruined. But he's picked it up second half of the season. He's been used more often. He's been very, very important to kind of the revival of the Niners offense. You've had kind of role players like Juwan Johnson, who's really stepped up. You've had, that's what I'm thinking. Juwan Johnson, who's had. I mean, they've probably a couple more. Juszczyk's always a huge part of that offense. He's probably one of the only like prominent pass catching fullbacks in the league. So I think San Francisco, they're going against Tennessee. They definitely should be able to score a decent amount of points. And I think again, with Tennessee, they really, I don't remember the last time they scored over 20 points. Maybe they scored. Actually, no, they played the Jaguars, so they definitely
I'm pretty sure it's every game that they've lost, they score the exact same amount of points.
Yeah, I think because they scored 13 against the Steelers, 20 against the Jags, 13 against the Patriots, 13 against the Texans. They beat the Titans 23-21, and then they beat the Rams. So the past few, but ever since kind of that,
they're 1-3 in the last 4.
Yeah, exactly, and they've looked bad in those games. So I feel like, given the position Tennessee are in right now, I find it very hard that again against a elite pass rusher in Nick Bosa,
he's been
elite linebacker Fred Warner,
good.
And a secondary that has 2 very underrated safeties in Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tart. And I think they'll be able to like kind of slow down the Tennessee offense and get enough points to win. And
yeah, I've got the Niners in this one. I don't know if I missed you bringing up this guy Debo Samuel. Has been
I definitely did not miss me. Suraj brought him up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think so, but Elijah Mitchell is not playing this week, so the running game will be a little bit. No, it won't. No, it won't. Debo Samuel only has 1 receiving touchdown in the last 5 weeks that they've played.
Yeah,
but wait a second, he has 6 rushing touchdowns.
6, yeah.
That's 5+ carries per game in the last 5 weeks, and he's a receiver. I believe he has more carries than targets. Yeah, more carries than targets in the last 5 weeks.
All right,
he's a receiver.
How much? I know.
His position on fantasy says, I believe that's WR. That's wide receiver.
Is he like? I think he's literally the definition of the flex position in fantasy. Like he'll play.
He plays like from a few years ago. He's better, but Ty Montgomery was actually listed as running back / receiver.
Ty Montgomery.
He was the ultimate player to draft because you could put him anywhere.
He's kind of like him. I mean, we've seen
Cordell Patterson.
Cordell Patterson.
I think maybe, who knows, maybe this is a future trend in the NFL where you don't have players just playing one position. Maybe you have these kind of
put them at quarterback like Taysom Hill.
Exactly. You have gadget players that are like kind of 2 things in one. I mean, Debo Samuel is really, and Cordell Patterson are really kind of in that year for those types of guys.
Yeah, but I think going back to the Titans, Titans, Niners. What do you again, preview-wise or Surge, what I will say, I think Niners as well. I think it's going to come down to offensively. The 49ers have been a team that their identity, at least in that Super Bowl year, was their defense, and I think it's starting to trend towards now. It's that
their defense has actually also been very good.
But I think it's more balanced, which I think has been a big difference.
I'm taking the Niners in this one.
Yeah,
I think the Niners are just the better team right now.
I think the Niners have also improved on the defensive side of the ball, though they were I think early in the season they really struggled in the past few games. Actually, never mind. But they played well against the Falcons. Actually, they played well against the Bengals, even though they allowed 23. They weren't allowing many points until the 4th quarter, and then over these past 2 weeks they've kind of really they've improved on the defensive side of the ball. I think they will continue as they continue to get more and more healthy, and I think they are in a good position.
For sure.
I mean, to me, it comes down to obviously Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry was actually rumored to be back, or not to be back, but rumored to because the Jones fracture in his foot. It takes
6 to 10 weeks.
7 weeks to recover. He's had 8. But apparently you're not supposed to walk on it at all or put pressure on it at all those 7 weeks. So, it then comes down to this guy.
And this man was working out, doing his crazy exercise.
He's one of the craziest workouts.
Yeah, but I don't think he was putting pressure on that.
Oh, no.
Probably no, not at all. He was not doing it. My guess is he wasn't even working out the other leg because you don't want an imbalance.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So.
He just comes out.
One leg just shredded, and then just the other one's a stick. There's one's it's just massive.
One's Derrick Henry, and the other one's Devin Singletary.
I can tackle both of them at the same time.
Come on,
he just
next video.
Yeah.
Regular
Hater
gets trucked.
Derrick Henry gets a taste of his own medicine and gets stiff-armed.
Yeah, again,
by a junior.
Titans.
Niners.
Or what the hell?
Ain't nobody got the Titans.
I'm sorry. Oh my god.
I think although the Titans could win because a lot
no,
of
I'm gonna disagree. I think the Niners have this game.
Tennessee.
The Niners have this game. The Titans don't have some special home advantage though.
Well, it's Thursday night.
Oh, what the? All right, I actually that was too.
It's getting late.
That was 2 back-to-back comments. Titans. We didn't even pick them. All right, sorry. Thursday night preview. I literally introed this. I don't know how I messed that up.
Bro.
Wait, so is it problem?
Bro.
Sorry, that wasn't a funny joke. All right.
But I think in the position that the Titans are in, I think they can hold their own on defense, and if they can have a good offense game, if Tannehill can have Tannehill 2020 sees the game, then
Tannehill 2020 is not Tannehill 2021 though, because not only is Tannehill playing worse, what's his name? Derrick Henry is injured, and that Derrick Henry is Tannehill 2020.
That's actually a good point.
What did Dylan say? We did the PFF video over the summer. Dylan
Tannehill
said
is so overrated.
Tannehill is so underrated. But then he said, I don't know. He said something about Derrick Henry. I forgot. He said something.
Derrick Henry is overrated. Cian could tackle him.
Yeah. I could.
I could.
Go for the legs, man.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to get into one more? Is that gonna end?
Yeah. You want to get into the Malik Willis?
Let's go.
Should we end on that or should we go?
Ooh, actually though, while we're on the Titans topic, just for a few more minutes. So obviously, with talking about Derrick Henry and also another key weapon, AJ Brown's return, do you think the Titans could actually become contenders in the AFC? Obviously they should make the playoffs.
The thing to me is they've had them last year, and playoff wise they didn't do much. So I think
I think no.
I know your reaction.
They're adding Julio, but wait, Derrick Henry's coming off of a really big injury, and AJ Brown's coming off of an injury.
Julio Jones never gets on the field.
Yeah,
and Julio Jones
the only thing that
is
carrying him is his legacy. He's not actually a good football player anymore.
This is fair.
I'd say for the 2 games that he's on the field, he's a good football player, but I see your point.
But yeah, I guess we're done with that.
Personally, I think the big difference though between last year's Titans and this year's Titans is they actually do have a solid defense.
It's Julio Jones.
Yeah.
No, I disagrei. I don't think there's a big difference.
This is the best receiving core we've ever seen. This is the best offense ever. Shut up.
You're wrong.
Me and Dylan literally called it.
Okay, but what you didn't call was a Derrick Henry injury and an AJ Brown injury.
Yeah, but even still, this offense
should actually give more production though.
But this offense was still carried by Derrick Henry, and AJ Brown wasn't even good this year when he was healthy.
He had a few good weeks.
He was picking it up and then he got injured.
Yeah,
he started off very slow though.
God, I don't know what I'm saying.
Just he's mad. I
know.
Julio stands.
I can tackle. Never mind.
I can tackle
Julio Jones. I want to talk about this Malik Willis situation.
Ooh.
I think it's a good way to end it. I think obviously you guys know we do a lot of draft content. Who do you think will take a risk? Charlie, I'm going to go to you, draft analyst Charlie Nidell. Welcome to the show.
You have been just...
Malik Willis. We know we've obviously done mock draft. We've done our big board. Me and you did our big board video. We talked about. Was it me or you talked about? I think it was me who talked about Malik Willis again. Still, one of the most raw quarterbacks coming out. Who takes the risk? And
I think there are a few teams who take the risk, but the question is how far he falls.
He's
I really
a first-round
don't.
Talent, but
he's definitely first-round talent, but I don't know that he'll be taken in the first round. So, let's see. PFF have him at. Let's keep scrolling down. There's Sam. Okay, here we go. 39 is where they've got Malik Willis. I think
Ranked?
I could see
Rank 39.
rank 39.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
could
still
see.
the
I'm going to
question
scroll
coming.
to the
Maybe he's a
bottom of the
second
first
guy.
round. Packers no, Chiefs no, Cowboys no, Patriots no, Buccaneers no, Cardinals no, Titans potentially at 26, but I don't really see it. Bengals no, Lions potentially at 24, and now I think we're getting a little bit early for Malik Willis. Colts no, Chargers no, Dolphins no, Bills no. So now we're too early for Willis. So it then comes down to the beginning of the second round where we could see Panthers, we could see Falcons, we could see Washington. I think those are my three teams: Panthers, Falcons, and Washington.
Panthers.
I think
there's
that's
underrated teams. I think Titans are.
Yeah.
I think they could, but the Titans would either have to take him
'Cause
at pick 26 with their first round pick,
I think
which
this would
they
actually
need
be
that
a
first
very
round
good
pick.
pick for the Titans.
Or
I think
second
that
late.
obviously they have other needs, and I think they probably should address them. But I think with Malik Willis, I think it's kind of a similar situation with Tannehill and the Titans. I mean, obviously not the same caliber of weapons at all, but maybe he's kind of almost similar to Alex Smith and the Chiefs, where he's like kind of like a stabilizing option. I'm not saying Malik Willis is Patrick Mahomes or the Titans offensive core is the Chiefs offensive core, not even close. But I think it's a position where Malik Willis can go in and learn, and then step in with one of the most promising young receivers in the NFL, the best running back in the NFL, no doubt for me.
Oh yeah, I think
When
no
healthy.
doubt, yeah.
And I'm sure they'll add some more pieces. It's not a bad offensive line, improving defense. I think it wouldn't be a bad pick. I think going to the Titans wouldn't be bad. I think going to the Saints wouldn't be bad.
Yeah.
I think where he can sit behind, maybe they extend Winston for another year or two. And then
Yeah, I like the Saints. I would say the Panthers. I think to me that's the riskiest one because Matt Rule, you obviously just fired Joe Brady. Matt Rule to me is now like maybe he actually isn't as good of a head coach as we thought. Whereas we're like, oh, this is one of the great young minds. Same with Joe Brady. Where Joe Brady is arguable. Should they have fired him? Maybe they shouldn't have.
I don't think they should have.
And then I think for Malik Willis, again, it comes down to the player profile. This is a very raw quarterback guy. Transferred from Auburn, was the backup, goes to Liberty. This guy has made, I think, I'm not sure the throw he made against. He made probably the best throw I've ever seen from a college quarterback, like rolling to the right, literally perfect throw on a dime to the side. If you guys see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I think that upside he has, like I was saying, this guy could be a better Lamar Jackson. He's more physical. Physically built, he has a better arm, and his rushing upside. We saw him that bowl game; he was fantastic in the bowl game.
Imagine just a mix of in his at his peak, his potential is basically a mix of Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert,
and Michael Vick. Michael Vick, I see a lot of in terms of that rushing upside.
Yeah, but I would say more Lamar and Herbert because he's got that cannon arm, but he's also got insane
cannon arm.
Exactly. I mean, if that's the potential sky high potential, I think that alone makes him a first round talent, regardless of how.
But he is.
And that's why I'm.
But
saying,
right now his arm is really strong. It's 50-50 kind of.
Exactly. That's whether or not it becomes a success.
Yeah.
I think that's why if you're a team that's in a position where we've got a good foundation, we've got players available, why not just take a shot on him? Especially if he makes it past the first round, the second round. Why not at least take a chance on this guy? He could potentially be.
Yes, if he drops out of the second round, yes.
No, not out of the second round, out of the first round. If he drops out of the
first round, maybe.
I completely agree with Charlie. Where it's like this is my only first round pick.
I wouldn't take him if I'm the Titans. And now here's what's interesting.
I mean, if there's like a linebacker like a Devin White or a Kobe Dean, and they need to address linebacker, definitely go for linebacker.
So here's what I find interesting here. So this is the most recent CBS mock draft.
Okay.
From Chris Trapasso, 11 hours ago. Okay. First off, he's got Aiden Hutchinson at pick number 1. Mm-hmm. Then the Giants trade up with the Lions at pick number 2 and draft Tibbs. The Lions drop and then draft at pick 5. It's Kyle Hamilton. Now we scroll down.
Where is Willis?
And Malik Willis is at pick 20. Now that's the Bills pick.
Okay.
However, that's the Bills trading, which I could definitely see happening. The Bills are stacked. The Bills trade that pick to the Lions. And the Lions draft Malik Willis at pick 20, and the Lions already drafted Kyle Hamilton.
I don't like that.
I think the Lions need to go receiver. I think they still got a lot of positions to fill.
Because if Amon-Ra pans out how we think he will right now, and you get another guy opposite him, Malik Willis to me going to Lions makes no sense. I think Jared Goff deserves another year.
They have 2 wins.
Well, maybe he has another year and then Malik Willis. But I think
that's more realistic. I like that.
But I think the problem with that though is that the Lions don't have a good enough core to really support him. I mean, they've got a solid. I think their offensive line has quietly been very, very solid.
No, but what they can do, that's the perfect situation that they're in, because Goff can last another year, and they just draft Kyle Hamilton, and now they go that year they won't be good again.
But they need
They'll
more
get
weapons.
another big draft pick, and then they'll be able to draft a top receiver or a top running. They've got DeAndre Swift, but a top receiver, and then Malik Willis comes out as the starter year 2, and he's got weapons. And I think that's why Lions could be more realistic. And as we were talking about the Titans, they have him going, not even quarterback there, but Jahan Dotson, a receiver, which I could see it happening. A.J. Brown with his injuries, and Julio Jones is so good. I don't know why they would draft him. No, but Jahan Dotson, I could see that happening. I don't see them drafting quarterback this year, the Titans.
Jermaine Johnson from Florida. He's been.
But yeah, I just don't see it happening. I mean, it's an interesting mock. I think actually some picks I like, but some that I am not so sure about, like the Giants.
Yeah. So personally, my teams that I'd want Malik Willis to go to, I'd say that means I still would want him to go to the Titans. I would want him to go to the Saints. I think Steelers would be a good position. I think, although maybe they could sign like some sort of veteran, maybe trade for someone. Maybe they can make a. Maybe they make a trade for like a Minshew for a year, and then maybe
Huntley.
Oh, that's crazy. Ravens to Steelers. That's, is Huntley a free agent? Then maybe, but if he
I think Huntley's on his rookie deal. He's 23.
Yeah, he wouldn't get traded.
He's a rookie this year? No, he's not a rookie this year.
No, he's not a rookie this year.
Oh, okay, I thought you said he was on. Okay, no, he's on his rookie contract. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I think there are a lot of teams that could take the risk on him. I wouldn't personally take it in the first round.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm laughing so much. It's just something, I don't know. Sometimes you just laugh when you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that it?
I think that's it. Suraj, unfortunately, has to go. We will, it is very hard to talk for this long. So we do hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. This was much longer. Guys, clips will be coming out of this podcast. Clips will be coming out. We'll be posting little
stuff. If you want a certain clip as well, just tell us, and we'll try to get that for you.
Yeah, we'll be getting a ton of clips out, a ton of content come out of these podcasts. So I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast.
See you guys next time.
I feel like a girl presenting in front of class, they just laugh and it annoys me. What?
We'll see you guys next time.
I hope you guys did enjoy. Follow us on social media. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, and always make sure we didn't get to answer any of the mailbag questions. We do apologize again.
We'll get to them.
Timing wise. Sometimes we do it like in between each topic, which we'll probably do next time. But great podcast. We touch on a ton of things, a ton of recent stuff, and a ton of kind of everlasting stuff. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoy. Charlie Nidell, Cian McDermott, and Suraj Kadali. Don't forget Dylan Chalmers on the channel, but
he's not.
You probably don't care.
He thinks he's Noel, so he thinks he has COVID.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching.
Great cliffhanger. Leave it off.
And we'll see you next time.
See you guys next time.
See you next time.
Go.